out there's actually an app that makes it easier to use.
Good afternoon and welcome to the committee meeting of the Natchitoches Parish School Board. Thank you for being here tonight, and please silence your cell phones. And we'll start the evening with a roll call from Ms. Revels. I'm sorry?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Revels. And thank you for the reminder. I do want to let the public know that we are experiencing a whole new platform for our agendas. So if we look like we don't know what we're doing or what we're looking at, there's a good possible reason for that. So just bear with us. We appreciate your grace and your patience. And we'll start off with the superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am. So we have a few items because I feel like we just recently met, but with fall break being upon us, it also feels kind of like it's been a while. So real quick, we just had our first parent-teacher conferences. So fall break occurred, and right before that, prior to that, we had parent-teacher conferences. We had a lot of really good participation, and that was very successful. 2 days, half day on Thursday, and then half day on Friday to accommodate all parent work schedules. Ms. McGaskey asked me to reference something that will also come up a little later, but I did want to mention it in the superintendent report. Pastor Harris reached out to me, and also Mr. Fredo reached out to me about an issue concerning some bus logistical issues. And after talking to Mr. Laron and also Ms. Pinkney, what we figured out is those issues were being caused by bus changes due to expelled students who had to arrive at MPLC, and those changes were a result of, hey, I ride this route, but now I'm coming into town possibly from like Campty, and my route's totally changed. That also was changing that entire route for the rest of the students on there. So what we did is we looked at other districts, and what many other districts do is they have a staggered start time, which we'll be talking about staggered start times today, for their alternative schools. And because it's a small amount of time, you can do that and still stay within your minutes. So we have what's going on now at MPLC is they take in at 8 and they release at 2 p.m. We were able to work over a period of about a week and a half with staff, parents, and implement that starting yesterday. And that's why I think Ms. McGaskey asked how early they were releasing. I think she had been told 1 o'clock. It is 2 o'clock, but we did want to mention that to the full board. Many of you were already aware, but we wanted to be able to expedite that through staff and not have to wait for those students who were being impacted adversely by that. Today, I had the privilege of going to the Bessie meeting, and we were recognized by the state superintendent in 2 categories for having the overall top growth of all districts for 9 through 12 math, and also top 3 for 3 through 8th. I was able to accompany Miss Catherine Johnson, who is part of our math team. She leads it at the district level, but we want to congratulate all of our people who deal with math at all, and because I think most of us on the board probably don't feel like we are math natives, so it's always impressive when people who are able to do those things that we're not able to, or at least I'm not able to.
Dr. Eloy, I really think that deserves a round of applause. I know we as a district, we receive so much recognition for so much change, and it's easy to sit and think, oh, that's just another feather in our hat, but that's a lot of hard work, and we really, truly appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. And to add on to that, we also, it's been a little while. It happened before fall break, but we haven't had a meeting to discuss it. We were also featured in the Boston Globe article prior to fall break. It was a really long article, he did a great job. And talked about how great things are here in Louisiana, specifically in Natchitoches, and then apparently talked about how bad it is in Vermont, which I didn't know it was. But it was nice nonetheless. And then finally, for my part, I did want to bring one update to y'all. Y'all know that we are in the month of October, which besides that being Halloween, it is also October 1 reporting. And so I wanted to give you this update. This is received from LDOE last Friday, and they're still till the end of the month to make any additions or subtractions. But you'll see that last year we had 4,677 students. As of right now, we have 71 less. That's a 1.5% change. That is better than projections. So 71 reduction is we don't want to ever see a reduction, but if we're going to have one, that's not bad. One thing I would draw your attention to, though, that's promising is if you look at our overall enrollment, it only dropped 26 students. So what that tells me is our pipeline of students at the pre-K level, because this typically is only adding your pre-K students, we're actually seeing what we're starting to see is a leveling off and maybe a plateauing of the reduction of students, because those pre-Kers, hopefully they'll all turn into kindergartners, and we'll see this this number at the top, the MFP, kind of balance out. We did see a reduction in our economically disadvantaged students. That's only for your information because we do receive additional funds for them on MFP. Students with disabilities reduced by 1 student. And interestingly enough, our gifted and talented rosters increased substantially by 23%. And this is really just an in-house thing. We didn't have any multiple or duplicate enrollments. And then also, you might notice here, this same time last year, we had an average of 2.6 absences per student, and we have stabilized the same time this year. And remember that Ms. Pinckney is going to be addressing the official attendance results today as well. So any questions about that October 1 count? Again, it's not official until the end of the month, but did want to give you these numbers as they stand currently.
So looking at the numbers you're talking about, the pre-K, that's reversing the trend of birth. What one of the theories was we're having less kids. And so that looks like that's reversing that, and that's great. Another is our gifted and talented group. Identifying these kids have really beefed up their efforts, because if we have essentially 71 kids less and 23% increase, that's a good effort on their part.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, that's all I have for that, but I would like to welcome someone to the podium. Miss Sarah Johnson with Mended Mental Health. I believe she is specifically a guest of Miss Harvey?
Ms. Harvey.
Yes, ma'am. And she would like to come up here and tell us what they have to offer at Mended Mental Health.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much, Ms. Leela, for inviting me. Yes, I'm Sarah Johnson. I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and I'm the owner and primary provider at Mended Mental Health, where we provide outpatient mental health services, and we see all ages, from as early as, kindergarten, 5, 6 years old, to 99, as old as they are. And so, that's something that we're trying to do in the community. The demand is high and the supply is few. And it's very challenging, it's very difficult, but we love working with your students at Natchitoches Parish. And so it's just so important that we're able to help them, help their families with any challenges, any struggles that they have. Because if you have a brain, there are, a lot of heavy things. If it's environmental factors, if there's genetics, whatever it may be. And so I do essentially just do medication management. I'm a firm believer that medicine is not the cure-all. It's not the fix-all. Your non-pharmacological interventions have to be attended to initially before that medication can come in place, but we definitely try to connect families, students with the appropriate counseling services. And like I said, resources are few. That's a reality. That's a reality in our area. And like you were talking about Vermont, it's a reality in various states that we just had no idea. California, Arizona. I've had a patient come in and the wait time was pretty extensive. And she was like, well, I was impressed with the wait time. I was like, well, it's still not good enough. So we really are working hard at Mended Mental Health to provide that service. And so, and to connect with counseling, because it's so important to me as a provider that anybody I see of any age whether it's a student or a teacher or a family member, a mom, a dad, an aunt, uncle, grandparent, whoever it may be, facing these challenges in life and all the things that it presents, that we get them the best help where they're able to function familially, socially, occupationally, and spiritually. That's so important to me in my clinic. And we have a great team. Lori Jacobs, she is my medical assistant. We make a joke that Lori is all of our boss. She's really the boss, but she's very helpful and helping with the patients and their families and whatnot. And also have Mr. Byron McKinney. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. So he's providing counseling services while he's balancing Northwestern. So we do have the best of the best. And so we really are working hard to try to meet the demands. And try to connect them. And also, too, kids do. Y'all see it also real. Y'all are on the front line. Kids are born with challenges, pervasive developmental disorders, where they shouldn't be denied an education. They shouldn't be denied those things, those resources. But I do see where it's hard. It's hard on y'all's end. It's hard on patients' ends. It's hard on families' ends because there's not enough of us to go around. But we're trying to do that. We're trying to bridge that gap at Mended Mental Health. And so if I had it my way, and if money was no option, we'd be filled with therapists, with LCSWs, with providers for medication management, if that's warranted. And when all of those non-pharmacological interventions come and they're completely exhausted. You've done everything you can. We don't know what else to do. And so there really are some more things that we can kind of get to the bottom of it. And I think that's something that I pride on in my clinic and with my patients is I'm able to bridge that gap for primary care providers where they don't have time to sit and talk to the patient. They don't have time to really get to the bottom of things. They don't have time to listen and know more about what's really going on. But that's what we do at our office. And I love what I do. and I'm a proud student of Natchez Parish School Board. I grew up at Marthaville. I think I'm pre Mr. Micah Nicholson's time. I think my sisters were there at Marthaville, and I'm a proud graduate at Natchez Central. So, but yeah, I really do. I appreciate everything that y'all do. I appreciate my teachers because I wouldn't be standing here in front of you guys if it wasn't for y'all and if it wasn't for the teachers that I had. And so, is there any questions or anything I can answer for you guys in what our services can do and provide for students, for families, and for teachers?
So are y'all under the Mind Over Matters network?
I am actually on the advisory board for Mind Over Matters. And so, Ms. Leela, that would be something great too, that maybe one of us from that nonprofit can come and talk to you guys about. Mind Over Matters, when I first started practicing going on about 3 years ago. I'm a baby at this, essentially. But Miss Cindy Allen, she's been a LPC here in town for years. She came to the idea that she wanted to connect the community, our parish, with mental health resources. And they are out there, but it has been a struggle trying to get that out to the community. And so she came up with this idea, and I was gung-ho. I was ready to hit the ground running and help any way I could. So I got invited along, me and Aaron Boyd, and we all got in there, and we helped her out. But she has done phenomenal work. Now I totally feel useless, but I try to lend a hand as much as I can. They've really accomplished a lot. We have Natchez Regional Medical Center and the foundation. We've had so many people come and help us with that. But basically, what it is, you can go to mindovermatters.me, and it will direct you to the website. And so the initial goal was to have a hub, a place where people could go to connect. Well, I need financial advising, or I need a therapist, or I need a Christian faith-based counselor, or I need medication management, or I need to send my child for substance abuse, or whatever it may be. It's a plethora of information on there. And we do have social media outlets too. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, and so that we do kind of try to share and educate the community too and stuff. And if you can think it, there is a day for it. There is a day for it. And so we try to get that helpful information. I think in February, I have self-esteem awareness. And so we try to help with all those things, anything that can help us mentally. Because if you're not good mentally, I'm a firm believer you're not good physically. And so it's so important to have that in check. So, And Dr. Eloy, it's such a pleasure meeting you. I know that
They all say.
I see you periodically. I don't think I've ever formally like introduced myself. So it's nice to meet you. And I know that our kids love the donut shop. I think that's where I've seen you a few times. But yeah, so thank y'all so much for having me. Is there any questions I can answer?
Any questions, board members? Would donuts be on the healthcare plan too? Is that part of?
You know, it releases them endorphins, no doubt, but too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So, yeah. But
We
Reba, you're
sincer-
my girl. I know you like them biscuits. I love them too.
I'm a biscuit girl, not
I
a.
know, I know.
a
I
donut.
tried to perfect it a few years back, and I got pretty close. So, but I love you dearly. You're a wonderful person. I know Reba
Sarah.
personally. So,
Thank you so much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate you taking the time to educate us about your services, and maybe educate us on how we can refer student cases to you. And
absolutely, absolutely. And if
appreciate
there's, you know, we want to make services more readily available. It is challenging. It is difficult, but we'll definitely try to help the best way we can.
And real quick, just going off what Ms. Reba said, are y'all one of the entities that accepts Medicaid?
We take all forms of insurance: Medicare, Medicaid, commercial insurance, TRICARE. If you can name it, I even have there is even a cash pay option, because accessibility is very important to me, very important to me. And so people need to go where they can get the best help also too financially for their mental health. But you know, there is a lot of things too where mental health is an uncharted territory. Not a lot of people, you know, specialize in it, and there's so many different things to mental health. There's physical aspects, there's things that we can't see with the naked eye that we can fix, but also too, if it's so much as helping somebody navigate on a website to get help with financial assistance on their water bill, or light bill. That's what we do. That's what we do. We try to help people and connect. And I wish there was more we can do, but we're very, very new. We're going on our 3rd year now, but I can just only hope that more is to come. We're located at 415 Bienville Street, so we're in Thomas Medical Building, Suite 6.
Where you at?
And we're hoping for really good things in the future, like steps ahead of something big coming and stuff, so we can grow services.
Great.
well, thank you for being here. We appreciate you putting a face with the business, and sometimes making that phone call is the first step to health and healing. So we appreciate you coming and sharing that information with us.
Absolutely. And we certainly, if we can't help, we'll definitely try to see what we can do to find somebody who can. So
Awesome.
we're here to help. So thank y'all so much.
Thank
Y'all have
you.
a good
Thank you.
Madam President, that concludes my superintendent report. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'd like to recognize one of our own board members for.
I was about to do that.
Oh, okay. Go
Wait,
ahead.
please go ahead.
No.
Mr. Harris, please.
I don't really know him, but I heard one. Yeah.
Board members, you may not know this, but among us is greatness. We have a Natchitoches treasure at our table, and he was so surprised to be named a Natchitoches treasure, but we're not surprised because he is a treasure for us as well. But please recognize Mr. Emil Matwire as a Natchitoches treasure. He was just inducted this past week, and he was joined by other treasures in Natchitoches. And so I would like to say we're totally not surprised, because we see your efforts, and everything that you've contributed to the Natchitoches community is priceless.
Thanks. Thank you.
Did you want to say anything else, or? No, you're good. He's humble too, so
He's a man of few words, all action.
yes. Thank you, Mr. Matwire, and Mr. Harris, thank you too. Okay, and moving on with our agenda, we have our informational reports, and we'll start with a child nutrition update from Mrs. Hicks.
Ms. Hicks, what would you like me to start with on your attachments?
I can just give my report orally. It's written there, and I've added a couple of things. And of course, this is the claim for September, which you can peruse at your leisure. The bottom line is we collected something like $421,000 for the month of September. That's a very healthy claim. Our summer school audit has been finalized. There were no findings, no nothing. We had a clean bill of health, so we were very proud of that, and I'm working diligently. It's fun to get audited twice, so I'm working on that. They'll be on site in December with us, and so I'll keep you updated on that. This is National School Lunch Week, so I encourage you, if you have a chance, to go out and visit one of our cafeterias, have lunch. I ate chicken noodle soup today and grilled cheese, and it was delicious, I must say. Fun fact, the National School Lunch Program is responsible for feeding nearly 30 million children each day. So quite a good program, doing lots of good. Last thing, the government shutdown so far is not affecting us. We are in contact with USDA. They are keeping us updated on how that goes. I think it would have to go on a lot longer before it started impacting us. They have some padding in there, and so we're at this point not overly concerned, but I am keeping tabs with my contact at the state. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Ms. Hicks,
Yes.
I know that we texted about this, and it's no surprise to you, but Chad, Fredo, and I had the opportunity to serve at the Lakeview Lunchroom, and I really want the board to know what an amazing experience that was. We were there on pizza day. It was pizza and corn dogs, and I got kind of happy with the corn dogs, and I let some kids have extra corn dogs. I did get in trouble for that. I'll be glad to reimburse
got your hands
anybody
on
that I
it.
need to. But I cannot say enough about the staff at Lakeview, how much fun we had. The kitchen was so clean. It looked like it was really just built the week before. It was just absolutely perfect. And the team there, you can tell they actually love working together. And they took their time. They trained us. So now we know all the rules. And every time we left our serving station, we had to change gloves. And so
I'm so glad to hear that because we are short on subs. So could I add you and Chad to the list?
please do.
Okay,
Please
wonderful.
do.
I have your
We used a
phone
lot of
number.
gloves, and I will forever have respect for the lunchroom ladies serving that pizza.
Todd.
Cannot tell you how hot that is. It is super hot, and Chad left with red tips on his fingers.
Yes.
So we'll be filing a workers' comp claim as well. So I'm just
I look
kidding
forward
about
to
that.
receiving that.
But I really can't say enough about the staff, and they were so complimentary of you and how much morale they all have, and they love what they do, and it was just an incredible experience.
Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time out there. I enjoyed seeing the pictures, and I did receive a call from Miss Shirley, I think, before you were out of the parking lot, and they enjoyed having y'all there as well. And it's always, you just don't know what somebody else does until you go see what they do.
Yes, absolutely.
And it doesn't just happen, and they work very, very hard and take a lot of pride in what they do. And that is an excellent kitchen, as they all are, but
Well, we didn't know this going in, but if we were there on any other day, we would have had dish duty. So whenever they serve something hot, they have to wash all the dishes.
Yes.
So board members, I'm just saying, if you do decide to go, pizza and corn dog is the way to go.
that's true.
There's less
true.
cleanup.
Gumbo. Gumbo day.
Thank you for
y'all so
allowing that to
much.
happen. It was great. Okay, our next
Okay.
next report will be the transportation report.
Or be there.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the month of October, all of our active routes are currently being serviced. As I report to you from last month, we have 3 current openings, which is down from what I reported last month. And over last month, we hired 3 new drivers to actually reduce that number of routes that are open. We currently have 2 drivers that are in training, so I anticipate that those will be covering 2 of those 3 current route openings. As I reported last month, we have a new dispatcher. She's fully trained now, so we're fully staffed to give enhanced service in our office. I'm also happy to report that we've got 4 internal driver candidates, one of which is our esteemed superintendent, which should be starting our training program shortly.
That's awesome.
So we're pretty excited about that.
I may regret that, but I doubt it.
As far as some of our service enhancements, I've added actually a couple of new office radios so that we'd be more in communication with not only internally but our external drivers. One thing that I didn't bring up that I think is important to let you all know that the cameras that we have in our new buses, they're AI AI assisted. And so what that does, it gives us indications on any abnormal behavior. So if a driver's on the phone, or if a driver is dozing off, or if there's anything outside of the norm, we're able to see it. They also provide for live look-in, which is something that we have not had, so we're able to look at situations as they're occurring. One of the things that I've also put forward is a one-day bus pass. We've put that as something that we can look at doing, and that would enable us to accommodate those people who may have a one-day instance of an alternative address. So in an effort to support our parents, we're looking at doing that. Again, we're actively recruiting to close any gaps that we have. Our focus continues to be on safety, communication, and consistency, and we're continually our proactive engagement with our campuses and families. Any questions?
Some of the drivers that you have helping in the assisted in the morning don't drive in the.
Talk in your mic,
You have
please.
them,
Yes, ma'am.
3 drivers that you have assisted in the morning, don't drive in the evening. You got some part-time drivers, did you indicate?
Yes, ma'am. We've got a number of different types of combinations where we've got drivers that work mornings. Some drivers actually work afternoons, so there's a combination of both. Not a lot, but we do have a combination of both.
Okay, so you're actually needing a drivers for bus 41, 72, 65, 153, 63, 110, and 165?
That's incorrect, ma'am. We're currently looking for Route 41. Actually, I did misspeak because we do have 4. The 4th route would be a board route, which would be occupied by Ms. Parker. So we've got Route 41, Route 110, and Route 105.
41, 110,
105, yes, ma'am.
and 105 are the only 3
Yes, ma'am.
that you have no drivers? Okay. Other ones been.
Those are the ones that are, everyone is covered, but as far as having a driver, specific driver assigned, those are the ones that are open.
Okay. So are we having some issues still with overcapacity because of those 3?
No, ma'am.
Well,
Not that I'm aware of.
the report to that effect that we still have some.
Again, I
There's
think I've mentioned
overcapacity.
in past meetings, if you've got any of that information, I'd be more than certainly happy to get that and work on them.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna definitely give you a call on that
Yes, ma'am.
tomorrow. Because I keep getting a report that we have some buses that are over capacity, where there's overcapacity involved.
Pardon?
I keep getting reports there are buses where there's overcapacity involved.
Yes, ma'am. And
So I
again,
will
I've
definitely get
asked.
those numbers and give you a call
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that.
If you've got that, I'd most certainly be
Getting
happy
that
to look at it.
complaint. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your communication. We appreciate you.
Just
Mr.
one moment.
Harris has one question.
I know we talked about the alternative school,
Sir.
and
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure exactly how we fixed it all. I know it's supposed to be fixed because I hadn't gotten any calls. So I know that I got some call concerning the students being brought to a location to be picked up by the bus.
That's correct. The alternative schools were being managed similarly to the activity routes, both in administration and the actual delivery and pickup of students. So much in the same manner as we do the activity routes,
So,
which are at locations,
okay.
various locations.
So if a parent is not able to get that child to that site, what happens then?
I mean, we can look at individual situations. I've been pretty in tune with it today. I think we've got one call about the entire logistics, and they did not have a problem getting that student to the site. So not only have we been in tune with that, I've also made contact with the principal at least 3 times today to see how it was going. I think they had maybe 4 or 5 students that weren't there, which is pretty much an average attendance day for them.
Okay.
Any other
It seems to be going pretty good.
Yes, sir. Based off the conversation that we had, she called it a pretty good start. So, obviously, anything that you do, there's room for improvement, and we're looking to make it go as well as possible.
Okay, any other questions, board members? Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will have our federal programs report on Thursday night. The next item on the agenda is personnel report. Ms. Winder?
Evening.
Good evening.
all. I hope you can appreciate the new format of the personnel report. I think it's a lot easier to read the information, and so I'm excited about that. Just the work that I'm doing along with Ms. Nolly and also the team in the business department to just make revisions and updates so that we can operate more efficiently and effectively in our departments. So here's a report. I don't know if you all have any questions about it. The primary thing that's happening in our office right now is the search for a new director of finance. We have broadened that search using the platforms of LinkedIn and Indeed at this time, as well as continuing on social media and on our district website. So hopefully in the coming weeks I'll be able to have a report and we'll find someone to fulfill that role. The other thing that I would like to report is Ms. Gabrielle Danos. She was named as the Kiwanis Teacher of the Year, so Dr. Eloy and I had the pleasure of accompanying her to the banquet that was held the week before we got out for fall break. So do you all have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Thank you, Ms. Winder.
Thank you.
The sales tax report will be presented on Thursday or?
Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to update y'all. Sales tax is up for this month, but it was my understanding that we received that finished report that y'all all see every board meeting from the sales tax office. That's actually something we have to create in-house, so that's why it'll be Thursday. But I will tell you, sales tax is up about 2% month to month. So good news, but I'll have the detailed report for you Thursday.
Thank you so much. Maintenance report, Mr. Ryan Shirley.
And as Mr. Shirley comes up, he and I have been discussing, we were inspired by Ms. Ramona's change in presentation, and so you will see a revised maintenance report starting next month.
Yes, I was actually going to mention that.
Oh,
Glad you did.
Sorry.
You tend to steal my thunder. You want to mention the scoreboard too?
No, I didn't.
Okay, we've had a few projects this month that's actually coming to a close, some that have started. Lakeview got their new scoreboard today put up for the baseball field. We will get the wiring done this week, and they will be ready to go for baseball season. Marthville, we got all the windows in the old gym replaced, all the plywood out of those. So it's looking really well. We've started on the junior high side of changing out some of those old rotten windows and trying to get that a good facelift. The magnet modular buildings, the meter was actually put in today. The fire marshal was scheduled this week for his final. So hopefully Monday we can move into those and start our classes in those. They're finishing up LP Vaughn for the last of our rekeying of the exterior of all of our buildings. The grants that we got back, I think, in December, November or December. So they should be finishing those up this week. And now all exterior doors are keyed to a district master key where our fire department and sheriff's departments can get in with one key instead of having to have 15 different other keys. So that's a good safety plus for us throughout the district. We had a pretty good electrical issue with Natchitoches Central due to a power outage through the city. Tripped main breaker. Thought it was going to be a lot worse than what it was because we worked on it for about 6 hours one night. and on into the morning, and actually had to cancel school for it. But it turned out not to be as big of an issue as we thought. We got it repaired that day. So we did miss one day of school, but it was better than what I thought it was going to be, because a new breaker was going to take us about 2 weeks to get. So, and that was about a $8,000 breaker. So it was, I was kind of worried about it, but everything went back together like it should, and it works properly. We had it tested by Ward Electric, so everything's good to go. Let's see if there's anything else we've got going on. Oh, we did our walkthrough with Mr. Fradu at Goldonna. We found a few broken windows. Those are being replaced. I got confirmation our doors should be here. Our final doors should be here next week. We can get those replaced. We have 2 sets of doors we're replacing there to make the building secure. We continuously doing a walkthrough once or twice a week at Natchitoches Junior High. This last one we went through, we found a bunch of defaulted light switches where they were turned on where they didn't need to be. The automatic is not working. So we have some more of those automatic sensors coming in to replace those. And we found an AC drain that was clogged up and leaking on the floor in one of the mechanical rooms. We got that unstopped, AC repaired. So we're still looking good there. We're making our safety sweeps on both schools weekly.
Is there a cold water issue at the cafeteria at Lakeview?
Yes, sir. We got the first of those valves replaced yesterday. The second one was being replaced today. What it is you have those mixing valves that goes on those hot water heaters.
Right.
And both of those was frozen completely solid.
Okay.
We tried to take the front off of them and clean them. No go. So it was a full and total replacement. So one of them was completely done yesterday. The other one should have been done today.
Okay.
Yeah, it turned out to be a little bit more significant than what we thought it was. But yeah, those were in bad shape.
Mr. Shirley, the Goldonna Pavilion behind the school had an uncovered electrical unit.
Yes,
Was that covered?
And whenever we sent the stuff out there for the windows to be replaced and all that, that was supposed to have been taken care of. I haven't been out there this week, but I will go and check it. If it hasn't, I'll do it myself.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Shirley? Okay, Ms. McGaskey, go ahead.
Have the doors been rekeyed at the old junior high school? You mentioned that the last time. There were a
Yes,
lot of
ma'am.
keys
They're-
out.
Yeah, they're rekeyed.
Okay, because I saw it at the other schools, but I wasn't sure because
Yes,
it
ma'am.
didn't state it at the old
The
junior high.
G-Pod has been rekeyed.
Uh-huh.
Exterior doors like the gym and back by the cafeteria and the front door have been rekeyed to a certain key, and that's what the coaches and everybody are using now.
Okay,
But the rest of them, I think there's 61 doors that have no access from the outside, so there's no sense in rekeying those because you can't even get in them from the outside. So.
okay,
But yes, ma'am, there's one key should do everything except for Marthaville. And the only reason is Marthaville was not accepted for the grant. So I guess, I really don't know why, but they wasn't accepted for it. So they're the only ones that has not been changed to that single key yet.
okay.
So, Mr. Shirley, on your report where it says doors rekeyed at NJH, is that what
Both,
she's referring to?
yes, ma'am,
Okay,
both of them, old and new.
Well,
perfect.
see, he has the regular junior highs listed and the old.
Yes, ma'am. I have the regular junior high and the old, and I may not have put it on there, Miss McGaskey, because I was more worried about doing my safety sweep than I was thinking about that. But yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Those doors are the same key.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So what's the status on the playground equipment?
I don't know. I know we're getting a grant or something. But
Yeah, so right before fall break, Royal Martin reached out, and they've done it in several other parishes, and I think also at their school district in Texas as well. They apparently donate equipment to the areas where they operate in. And so we said, yes, we have a definite need for some playground equipment. So I need to talk to them, which there is a representative from Royal Martin here tonight on a separate issue, but I don't know who we're necessarily contacting about the award and the timeline of all that. I will say that Mr. Shirley has already been looking at some of the playground equipment. But he actually mentioned today that he wanted to talk to the teachers and also get your.
You
weigh in
have
on-
about 50 different kinds that we can do. I mean, literally, it's an endless different ways you can set it up. And if we could get their input on what they would like to see, then I can build that playground set to fit what we need. I don't want to go down there and buy something that the kids are not going to play on. If they like the tricycles and they like this and they like just the little slide, whatever we can do. I've been on this phone with this lady from APC Play trying to build these sets, and look, they go from anywhere from $10,000 to $200,000. It just depends on how elaborate we can go. So we just have to wait and see what we got.
Will you reach out to the school and set it up with?
Yeah, I can do that. That won't be a problem. But I'm just waiting on right now to find out what kind of funding we have, so I know what kind of pocketbook I got.
Thank you, Mr. Shirley.
All right, thank y'all.
Have a great evening. All right, Finance Facility Service and Insurance Report, Ms. Palmer.
7A award internet and one bid for the 2026 through the 2031 category 1 E-rate cycle.
Mr. Kozad, which item would you like me to open on this one? Okay.
This one will be really easy for y'all. The lowest cost bid that came in is also the one that our scoring matrix is recommending as the most complete and overall best option for us. It is going to be a change in internet service provider. The cost savings is just too much to stick with our current provider. But any questions on that, let me know.
Who's our current provider?
Our current provider is Unity Fiber.
That is pretty significant.
That's per year for a 5-year contract also.
Okay.
Now, if we can just get the contractors to stop cutting the lines, whoever's providing the internet.
Yeah, they are all in the same ditch, so
Yeah.
that's going to happen either way. All right.
7B, discuss and consider ITEP notice of non-compliance.
Yes, ma'am. So this is y'all have had these before, and we have we have two representatives from Roy Martin, and we also have, I think, Ms. Laura Lyles is behind the podium with the chamber. Just to preface before they come up and make their presentation, if y'all recall, most of these ITEPs were granted during the COVID years, and I think we've had a couple of them come back to us for bureaucratic non-compliance, I think is a good way of putting it, but the heart of the matter was taken care of, if that's the proper way to put it. It's just some of the bureaucracy and things that the people at the state want are a little difficult to toe the line, even though they're still doing the good work that we know they're doing. So I'll let them speak a lot more eloquently about that than I just did and bring them up here.
Thanks, and I'm Jeremy Burford, but I didn't think it'd been that long since I've been here. But y'all have changed the place rather nicely, so I like it. But as for the non-compliance we're talking about, I think mid-August you guys should have received a letter of non-compliance for an ITEP program that we are dealing we have there, and it's actually the area of non-compliance was removed in 2024 because it is quite a complicated qualification system for what employees do and do not meet that from it. We were in compliance in 2000. In 2020 and 2021, you can see there the required job was a 5 and a required payroll of $193,000 approximately. What's unique is in the year 2022, we were coming out of COVID. We hired 236 people into that facility to get back up to a 740 plus being staffed. And if you look at the payroll that it came in, we actually had sent them 7 jobs, but what had happened there is we had so many new people coming in that the jobs that went to them were the new people that had only been there for 2 months. So when you take the payroll for those new people, it doesn't equate to that. If you take the average salary of an employee working there today, $22 an hour, it's going to be more than 45K a year, so it would more than be sufficient for the required amount. So we believe that was the mistake that happened with that reporting. It's again, it's the qualifications for the employees that go into that it is a bit complex of it, and has been removed from that. So, and then on top of that, we've been a partner of the parish for a long time. I think this year we'll pay over $2.5 million to the parish of property taxes, and we're actually just approved investing over $50 million into that facility to continue to grow that facility and keep those jobs here, because we understand how important that is to the parish. And of course, you're correct on the donation of the money for the playground equipment. Is it LP Bond is going to, I
LP
believe?
Vaughn, but we've actually been talking, depending on how much LP Vaughn wants, if there's money left over, that possibly Weaver as well. I think Ms. McGaskey had mentioned. So
Yes.
And the easiest way, if you if you'll get in touch with me, Jermaine Davis will be likely the purchasing agent. But what we'll do is we'll let you guys pick what you want and give you the money to buy it. I mean, that's the easiest way. To the gentleman that was speaking about the right equipment for the school, we're not going to pick the equipment, but we will fund the monies up until a level that I think you've talked with Roy about to do that. So. With that, I just wanted to step up and say that we're continuing to do things to grow that facility. Our area has a huge array of timber in it. We're looking for different ways to use it here in Natchitoches Parish, because the timber is here, and there's a lot of other people looking at that too. That's a positive thing for our parish that we're excited about. So, any questions around the ITEP?
I just piggyback real quick. I know our governor sometimes is an interesting figure and draws pros and cons. But one of the things that I do think that he's done that has been positive for the business community and for the state as a whole in terms of economic development is that he has streamlined this process that, by all reports from every industry person I talk to, is cumbersome and complicated. And so this is a kind of a grandfathering of the old system, but the new system would not have probably allowed this to occur.
That's right. In 2024, it was removed, which would not have been a problem for this. So.
Okay, board members, any questions? We sincerely appreciate you coming to present to us tonight.
And again, I like what y'all done to the place.
It's only been a year, so it hasn't been that long. So
it's nice.
Yeah, a little bit over a year. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your money.
Appreciate it. We do appreciate the donation.
Okay. Ms. Palmer, does that conclude your report?
Concludes finance.
Thank you. Item number 8, personnel. We have policy 707.80, other leave.
Yes, ma'am. So, as y'all know, we did a major policy shift over a year ago, and in that policy shift, we knew this going in. We reduced the size, so we had to come back, and the pendulum swings a little bit towards the center and add some things back. Basically, what we did is the FMLA policy that we previously had was massive, and y'all probably remember it. What we had after that was very small, and so one of the first things, Ms. Ramona came in and she had a FMLA qualifier, and it doesn't lay out the basics. So what I did is I went back to our old policy, went back to our new policy, and said, where can we kind of bridge the gap and make it to where the meat and potatoes are there, but it's not also 10 pages long like the old one. And so what you have here in green, the red was struck out because that's all we had on FMLA before. And what it does is it's a re-envisioning of what we had prior, while also it's pretty much verbatim what federal law is on FMLA. But it answers some of the questions about, does your leave run concurrently? What entitles you to FMLA? But none of this is outside the purview of anything any other district is doing. This is very much in line with suggestions from Hammonds and Seals and Geis. But it is still rather lengthy compared to that 2-sentence piece, but it does fulfill everything that Ms. Ramona needs while being within federal and state guidelines. So if you want to peruse that, and if you have any questions for Thursday or in the interim, you can let me know.
Ms. Ramona, is this on a rolling 12 or is this, what's the replacement on the FMLA leave? Is this on a rolling 12 or what's the replacement?
So that's
Oh.
what we talked about, like if an employee would get, the FMLA, that's a leave that's required by law in addition to the leave they already are granted by the district. So the 12-month period when we discussed whether it would be for a calendar year or if it would be for the
Rolling 12, yeah.
for the academic year, like if it
Okay.
run for our academic year or for the calendar year. So that is why that part is added. So it's measured, forward from the first day of when the leave begins, because otherwise it could go over 2 school years. Does that make sense if it were to?
It does.
Okay.
It does. A lot of times on a rolling 12, if they take it, if they start September 15, it will start repopulating the next September 15,
Yes.
which would bridge your period. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Winder.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Item 9, executive report. In Mr. Danzy's absence, I will take his report. Dr. Eloy, items 9A through L are all policy related, so I will just not interrupt you after each one if you want to go through those.
And if y'all just want to, if there's any point you want me to pause, just pause and I'll stop and you can ask questions. These are all either from adjustments from Hammond's Seals or legislative updates from LSBA. This first one is payroll deductions. This came from LSBA. It's just some simple language change based on the change in the law. It's previously said authorization. Now it says have to say written authorization, and it basically says what premiums that we can take out of a check if an employee wants to have. But the real importance of the policy did not change in this. It was just some kind of wording, yes. Questions, comments, concerns? All right. Policy 503.20, safety protocols for bus riders and carpoolers. This came from LSBA as well. We just had to simply add this line. In accordance with policy 713.30.13, the superintendent shall establish a process by which persons loitering on or near school property in student pickup and drop-off sites shall be reported to appropriate personnel and/or law enforcement. We actually have had this situation this school year. It was a minor, but they were also breaking and entering to the school and then had to get on the bus at the same location. So this was an optional policy based on legislation, but we did feel the need that we do need to have some procedures in place of what to do when that occurs. Policy 503.40, this is about use of district vehicles. This is something that neither came from LSBA or Hammonds and Seals. This was something that Ms. Ramona and I recognized we needed to lay out. We assumed it was going on, and I think we still assume that it's going appropriately, but just in case there's any confusion, authorized drivers may not transport non-district employees in district vehicles under any circumstances. That means if you have a 5-year-old child and you're in a district vehicle, they can't be in it. If it's a friend, if it's a family member, or if it's someone hitching a ride, we don't want to cover them on our insurance. Okay. Procurement, I believe this one comes from, yes, this comes from legislation, and we are actually utilizing this currently, but the procurement analysis for student computing devices may also include consideration of use of a buyback program. It allows us to take old iPads and sell them back to Apple or a third party and use that money to buy more Apple products. So, but that is part of legislation. Policy 602.00, inventory. This came from some changes that needed to be made based on an audit we were in, and it needed to be spelled out. Again, what we did here, we looked at our old policy, and we kind of, again, bridged that gap, brought it back somewhat to where the old policy was, while still making it not incredibly cumbersome for everyone. If you were aware of our old policy from 2023, this very much mirrors that and talks about what we have to do in terms of our grant assets, our physical inventory, and our consumables, and then also our capital assets as well. And this was at the request of the business department, specifically for Ms. Deborah Dunn. Questions on that one? Okay. Visitors. This is from legislation. This should seem obvious that you can't take pictures or videos unless we allow it. The most recent iteration of this would have been the Boston Globe. They came and they asked our permission, but you do have to have a policy stating that you can only photograph or video if the school district gives you permission. They still cannot video students unless the students have the written authorization, the form in J Campus. So there's still some limitations even if we give them permission, but our permission would only be granted with the assumption that they would only take it of students who have the permission slips. Background checks. This is also from legislation. This, I read through this a bunch of times. It doesn't seem to change anything except that we want to make sure that we don't employ anyone that is recorded on the DCFS Central Registry after August 1st, 2018. I'm not sure what changed on that time period, but this does come from legislation. So it's safeguarding students, safeguarding our schools, and making sure that we are doing our background checks, but then adding an additional layer for that DCFS piece. Sabbatical leave. So one of the fun things about having a new or an interim director of human resources or personnel is that a lot of these things we have new eyes on, and our sabbatical policy was very lacking. And at the same time, we had some employees who were reaching out about sabbatical leave. So again, we looked at our old policy, we looked at several other district policies, and we proposed this. It's very much in line with every other district. We have a few types of sabbatical leave. There's medical, which is the primary one that we would be offering. Districts do offer, and we would offer professional or cultural sabbatical, but it has to show that it's a benefit to the district and the students of the district. And all of this, they have to go through a process. Our application is online. Employee fills it out, and then they bring it to HR and myself. I have the final say of if we grant it. It's also offered on you have to have been here, I think, 12 consecutive. How many semesters is it?
One semester leave will be granted for 6 or more consecutive
Correct.
semesters.
So you have to.
Service.
So that's 3 years of service to get one semester of sabbatical leave, and then
2 for 12.
2 for 12. So that's where that's at. We've only ever, I think I've done 2 medical sabbaticals since I've been here, and we've not had any applications or approvals, obviously, for cultural or professional sabbaticals.
5% of teachers, is that a certain grade of teacher or teachers across the board?
That's teachers across the board.
Okay.
And that's purely for logistical purposes that we know we can't operate if we have,
Yeah.
you're on sabbatical, you're on sabbatical, you're on sabbatical.
5% of your staff out. Okay.
So, all right. Policy 713.2.01. This is from legislation. Required in-services. State law mandates annual training on code of governmental ethics, mandatory reporting of child abuse and neglect, and prevention of sexual harassment. And then it has a link to the LDOE required trainings. And then also what the employee's responsibility is on those trainings as well. We have a really good system that Ms. Ramon is in charge of. Anything we want to put out to employees, we put on Vector. We say, hey, this is for nurses, or hey, this is for teachers, or hey, it's for pre-K teachers. It pushes us out. We can say at a moment's notice who's completed it, so we are very much in compliance with this legislation and this policy update. This is another legislative update about, you're going to see a lot on special education. There was a lot of that in the most recent legislative session. And what we have to do when a student is either restrained or seclusion. This was a big topic in the last legislative session. And it basically says, the teacher has to notify the principal has to notify the district, and all these reports have to be made, and then it details what has to be in that report. You know, we want the name, age, grade, all the demographic data, the time, the location, the duration is a big one. Why did this occur? What was the antecedents? Did they have any marks afterwards? This is because there were some districts in the state that were utilizing specifically seclusion at a kind of a ridiculous level, where they were literally kind of putting kids in a room by themselves, and not really tending to it in any sort of formal manner. And this is to keep districts and schools legal, but then also making sure that students are protected when these things happen and occur.
How does this spill over to the bus?
So the bus drivers are not trained in CPI so we have two types of restraint or de-escalation techniques. We have CPI training, and then we have handle with care. They overlap a lot. And employees, I was actually having this conversation with an employee today, only employees who are certified in one of those areas are allowed to restrain a child. If they're not, then it gets into an area of, you can possibly do it in a wrong way. I worked at a facility that we had even stricter means of restraining students because all of our students were nonverbal, so they weren't able to communicate when they were in distress, and a student actually went into emergency cardiac arrest and survived because of an improper hold at that facility, and so they were very strict. So we obviously aren't at that level because most of our students are able to speak, but it's a very specific training that may seem obvious when you're looking, but there's certain things that the person's supposed to do to mitigate the actual situation to begin with, so they don't even have to restrain to begin with. And then if they do decide to restrain, then they have to do it in a specific way not to cause harm, and then they have to periodically stop and see if the student's okay. With a bus driver, obviously they're driving. I think if we ever reached a point of that situation, they're calling dispatch and possibly even calling medical services or police services before they would get to that level, because I don't think Echo or Mr. Baptiste is interested in those folks getting CPI trained, because they would have to stop the bus, pull over, which is dangerous in and of itself, to actually do the hold.
That's impractical. It's like a full day training.
Yeah, for sure.
Understood, but I mean, this is the type of knowledge that needs to be submitted to not only the bus drivers but the public too. So
Yes, sir.
this is what we do. Okay.
Does this policy, is it inclusive of kids that are autistic, because you deal with different situations with autistic children based on how the autistic
Yes, ma'am. So this was
system
actually
affects them?
I believe the impetus for this legislation in and of itself was specifically about some nonverbal students with autism who parents were like, hey, we're not upset that you restrained the child, but they came home with bruises. They're not able to tell us what's happened. So can we at least have a report about what occurred, so we know that this was done in a formal way, and that our student, maybe the injuries were done because they were resistant or whatever. So this definitely applies to that. I would say, unfortunately, but by virtue of the behaviors, a lot of times your restraints are going to be students who have exceptionalities, specifically because, but again, CPI and handle with care, people think of them as hold techniques, but they're really de-escalation techniques. So the whole idea of those trainings is to not get to the point of restraint. It's about preventing the restraint and only utilizing that in the most extreme circumstances.
And Ms. Dodd, I don't know if it's still the case, but in years past, our entire special education department is trained in CPI and designated people on campus as well, specifically for that population.
Okay, but you have some children that are inclusive in the general student population, and so my concern is all of the teachers being fully trained.
So what we typically do,
or their staff.
if we have a student,
What staff?
if we recognize that this student has a behavioral issue or is prone to some of these situations, and they're going to interact with a teacher who's in a regular ed classroom, or maybe it's the PE teacher, then we typically try to get everyone who's going to interact with that child trained as well. Now, that's the people on their schedule. They may interact with someone on the staff who doesn't have it just because that's the teacher in the lunchroom at that time, but they should always have someone, and we get enough people on staff where they should always be within close distance of someone who has that training. And typically, this is going to happen in more of your self-contained classrooms, and all the folks in there have it. So.
Okay.
Dr. Eloy,
Yes, sir.
is this in continuity with the federal policies that they've put forth? Because if that be so, from my understanding, they just completely
You talking about the dissolution of the
Right.
special education department of the?
right, and I'm just wondering
So what
how
we're,
is this going to affect
what we're being
we've
told
done?
right now is policy-wise, nothing's changing.
Okay.
Supposedly, what's going on at the federal Department of Education is that group was terminated, but the funding will now go through. I'm hearing the Department of Health and Human Services at the federal level, so special education will be transferred to them. Now, this is all. None of it's official. And then a lot of the policy decisions will be made. Well, it's still at the federal level, but they're wanting to transfer a lot of the responsibility to the state level.
to the state level? That's what I'm hearing.
So I don't know what it means. You know, we have a very good there's a very strong lobby of parents of students with exceptionalities. And not to get political, but that's a group I don't think people want to tangle with.
Nope.
Am I right, Ms. Harvey?
Nope.
I don't think they're going to win that. So I do think before any major policy changes happen, and if that's even their desire, I think you'd have major political pushback on both sides of the aisle. What I'm hearing right now is it's purely kind of a funding thing, but we don't know day to day. So
But even in funding, you know, what are they?
well, I do know
I see.
anecdotally they push back on some funding on blind and deaf students, visually impaired and hearing impaired, and they already put that money back because the pushback was so large. And I don't know all the details of that because news with the Department of Education is going so fast it's hard to keep up with. But
I think we have a couple of schools in the state of Louisiana. One in Ruston, I know.
well, and you also have LSD and LSVI in Baton Rouge.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, policy 713.3.08. This is reporting of arrests and convictions. Literally, this came from legislative updates. They deleted this line and added and. But again, this came from legislation. So no real changes to what that means. It just apparently LARS 1515.87.1 was enough, and they could delete the DCFS piece. But you'll notice this one is attached to that previous one that we talked about. 713.40, discipline a student, reporting a student for misbehavior. Again, from legislation. All right.
A lot of green here.
Yes. So this is part of what you can do and not do to a student, and what is allowable and not allowable in terms of discipline. It also talks about removal from a classroom if you're a student of a certain age and things of that nature. But this came from some of this came from legislation, and then as we were addressing that as well, we added some stuff about not being able to do physical exercise for disciplinary reasons and some things of that nature.
Is it significant enough in the changes that y'all are going to have like some detailed meetings with administrators and teachers on what they can and can't do?
No, because really all this is what we were already doing. We're just putting it into policy, and we've had more discipline meetings this year than I think we ever have, for good reason, to make sure everyone's on the same page, and it's all been super positive. Miss Barbie's the Barbie policy, the Barbie fight policy as we call it, is still doing, it's still being effective. So, all right, so that's all of the policy updates. And yes, for the next 2 months, you will see probably this level of policy updates continuing.
Of interest, the last line.
What's that? What is the last line? The Natchez Parish School Board does not allow corporal punishment or the use of physical activity as a means of punishment. Yes. Yeah. We were very specific on that.
All I can say is, where was this policy in 1992 when Shirty Evans at Lakeview High School made everyone do squats and push-ups and all the things?
It was a growth
We
opportunity.
were physically fit kids back
It was a
then.
growth opportunity. Hey, there's
Well,
one policy.
The problem that we've found is there have been some situations nationwide, not locally, where some people did this not knowing the child had maybe asthma,
Right.
and it led to some unfortunate circumstances.
I had asthma. By the time he got through with me, I didn't have asthma no more.
Never again, huh, Pastor Harris?
I have a suggestion for policy 503.4.
503.4, what you got?
It doesn't say anywhere, and most policies would say that the district maintains a list of authorized drivers,
District maintain.
a list of authorized employed drivers.
I can add that.
So with that being said, we need to make sure that we maintain that list. And a driver list for a company this large, that's a big task.
Yes, it is.
You'd actually be surprised because for us, it's really the technology department and it's the maintenance department. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on that. Would that also include professional transportation of, say, a vendor? If we're showing sites, we've got a contractor with us that we're taking around for purposes of official work. Would
We'll have
they
to
not
talk-
be allowed to go with us now?
So our intent was not to discourage those type things. Our intent was to people who are non-pertinent to operations. So if the board is okay with it, I can put a disclaimer in there about authorized vendors or something of that nature.
I'm totally
Just
okay with
like
that.
official travel?
The vendors will have their own insurance that will cover their own employees during travel, so that's not a bad idea at all.
All right, Mike, if you send me an email tomorrow, I'll make sure I update that, but that's good stuff. Okay.
Okay, any other questions, board members? If not, we are moving on to,
I'm sorry, do you want to take N real quick? Because that's super quick.
we can, sure, go ahead.
Okay. So N is just, there's new legislation, which I keep saying tonight, where we have to verify that our students who are enrolled with BIPSI are able to be enrolled with BIPSI. And it's new legislation that we have to confirm that to BIPSI, so they had to do an addendum to the MOU that you already approved that's saying we are compliant with that new legislation.
Okay. Okay, agenda item M, 2627 school start end times proposal. And board members, I'm not sure if you're able to see the proposal, but he's got it pulled up there.
Okay, so I think in June, Mr. Benefield came to me, and I think Pastor Harris, about the discussion of staggering school start times. At that time, we came to y'all and said, please wait for this discussion for next year for the 26-27 school year, because it was going to mess up master schedules that had been done for months. And so y'all gave us grace on that, but asked me to provide a proposal in October. Well, October is here. So what we did is we looked at a few things. I talked to two people. Well, I take it back. I talked to academic team. That's why Miss Martin's still here. And I talked to Mr. Baptiste because we did not want to blow up master schedules. And with Mr. Baptiste, the whole idea with this is to improve service and flexibility for them by doing this. But we didn't want to do it in a way that only did so much where it caused this big, change, but it didn't really do what ECHO needed to be able to improve the service. So that's kind of the guidelines of what we're looking at here. The purpose is to adjust school start and end times to improve student well-being, transportation efficiency, and overall service to families. The key goals of our proposal are to hopefully shorten route times for most students, reduce early morning pickups, meaning those 6 a.m. or sometimes we know some folks unilaterally choose to go at 5:55. Ensuring students are not on buses too early in the morning. Decrease traffic congestion across the city during peak hours. Provide better and more reliable service for families, and create operational efficiencies and some savings. So the key considerations, we said by staggering start and end times between different school groups, the number of students assigned to each bus, kind of what Ms. McGaskey was talking about earlier, will be reduced, which allows for shorter, more manageable trips and less time on buses overall. Schools selected for later start times, and we have two options for you, and I'll get to why the two options are what they are. But option one, the schools were selected for later start times to draw students those schools were selected because they draw students from all areas of the parish. Therefore, their later schedule would allow for better support their transportation needs. Schools selected for earlier start times generally serve students from within a smaller geographic area, which allows for efficient routing without extended travel times. So an example of this would be LP Vaughn. Most of those students are coming from within the confines of the city, whereas take, for example, Provençal, a lot of those students are coming from within Provençal, but then a lot of the students are coming from all the way out in Cloutierville. Lakeview and Fairview were not included in this proposal since their routes are limited exclusively to their own schools and are not currently experiencing the same challenges as the rest of the district. However, adjustments could be considered in the future if there is a need or desire. Just to give you a heads up, I talked to both those principals. They said they are fine being left out of it. They said no worries there. Drop-offs everywhere, we are saying, would start 30 minutes prior to the start of the school day. And the amount of hours worked by employees would not change, only potentially their schedule. Questions there? Okay. All right, so the current start and end times, you see there's 4 different colors. Fairview and Lakeview are kind of their own little mini busing district, so they are in green. NPLC, because of the situation we discussed earlier, they are already on a staggered schedule. They're 8 to 2. And they are on their own separate thing. So we're really looking at every other school besides those 3, Provençal, Marthaville, LP Vaughn, Weaver, NJH, Magnet, ELAB, Middle Lab, and Natchitoches Central. These are the current start times. You can see a lot of our schools are starting as early as 7:30, and the vast majority of them, everyone's getting into school by 7:45 at the latest. So, option one, what we did is we looked at every school, again, Fairview and Lakeview separated, NPLC separated. You can tell Marthaville, yes, it's a rural area, and they have, people kind of outlined, but it's confined to that area for the most part. LP Vaughn confined to the city, Weaver confined to the city, NJH confined to the city. Also, Marthaville already starts at 7:30, so they would have no change. LP Vaughn, you'll see the changes there, but all of these schools are starting relatively within 15 minutes of this time already. So, to get the benefit of a stagger, we talked to Mr. Laron, or Mr. Baptiste, and he said we can probably do it with 30 minutes of a stagger. He said, but to get the full impact of it, it's 45 minutes. So when we did this, we said, we don't want to have this massive change and halfway do it. We'd rather do the full change and get the full benefit of the stagger than, hey, we did 30 minutes. People are still annoyed because people just don't like change, but it doesn't fully echo what they need. So then we put the second group, and that's Provençal, Magnet. Magnet, again, draws from all over the parish. ELAB and Middle Lab, again, draw from all over the parish. Although, a keynote on ELAB and Middle Lab, they had the lowest bus participation in the parish. And then Natchitoches Central obviously pulls from all over as well. We put them starting at 8:15 and ending at 3:30. Now, some things we looked at, and this is Jennifer Martin and Grant Eloy opinion, but it felt right. Anything before 7:30 felt too soon. And we currently have schools that are starting at 7:30, but we did not feel comfortable going earlier than that. Anything after 3:30 as a release time felt too late. Even 3:45 just felt like eons after 3:30. So that's this first iteration. Now, we presented this to the principals and told them everything going on. There wasn't, at least in that meeting, to me, and some of them may have reached out to y'all, there wasn't a whole lot of feeling either way, but one of the things discussed was the concern for a lot of the lab schools serve a lot of the employees at NSU, and how would this impact them getting to work? So we created option 2. In the meantime, I was waiting to have a discussion with someone high up at NSU to discuss that with them. So we did create option 2. With that being said, after having that meeting finally today, NSU has told me that they really don't see an issue with option 1. They'd like to look more into it, but they feel like they have 3 different start times for their employees, and their first class time is at 8 a.m. And we would, if we did 30 minutes prior to the 8:15 start, and we could even possibly back that up to maybe as early as drop off at 7:30, that'd be something y'all would have to decide. They would have more than enough time to get to work and to drop off their students. I will add one other thing before I move to option 2. No matter what, when we look at these things, you're going to have people tell you, and rightfully so, I have a kid at this school and I have a kid at this school. How am I going to do this? Well, we currently have different start times. This is just kind of formalizing that. We also looked at other districts. There are many other districts that do a stagger specifically for this reason. Now, most districts do it between their high schools and their high schools, junior highs, and elementaries. We're doing it for a different reason, and it's really specific to us, which is our geographic size. And I think I'm actually kind of proud of why we're doing it this way, because the kids with the longest bus routes should get to school later, and they'll have smaller amount of people on their buses, so they should have a smaller or shorter bus ride. But there is no iteration of what we show y'all tonight where everyone's going to get what they want on this. There are going to be people who are mad that they want to get out early, and then there's going to be people mad that because they don't want to get out early. They like to leave at they like to get to school later, and there's going to be just heartburn with the change. So, option 2. What we did here, again, MPLC, Fairview, Lakeview removed. Because of the concerns of the principals, we moved the lab schools to, because we just kind of moved them, and we moved some others around. I will tell you, the first one, our concern was NSU, but that seems to be alleviated. Option 2, our concern here is, and if you have deeper questions, Ms. Martin can delve into the weeds, but just to give you an idea, if we go with option 2, that concern is more academic. We would have to really adjust 2 master schedules. I think that's Provençal and Weaver. And we would actually have to adjust them so significantly that we would take away 5 minutes of class time for ELA and math. Oh, I'm sorry, for all core content. We're not super pumped about this option. Especially in light of the fact that NSU seems to be a little better with things than we anticipated. So you look at, I did a comparison. This is back to option 1. Fairview and Lakeview, no change. Marthaville, no change. LP Vaughn, they start 15 minutes earlier than they did prior to. 15 minutes is what, 900 seconds? It's not bad. Same thing with Weaver. They just released 15 minutes earlier. NJH, they get it in the morning and the afternoon, 10 minutes earlier at the beginning and 15 more at the end. And it kind of goes, these 4 aren't super affected. When you see the later group, you can see that's much more impact on them. Basically, almost all of them are starting 30 minutes later in the day at least. Provençal, you can see it would be starting 45 minutes later in the day, and they are releasing later in the day as well, 20 minutes, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes later. It doesn't change a teacher's day-to-day in terms of the hours they work. It changes which hours they work. And then you can see the same thing for option 2, new versus old. So, I think potentially this could be a very good thing for one of the things I've heard since I've been here is we are a unique parish because of our size. We've never been able to crack the code of how to deliver better bus service because of our size.
We never addressed it. That's what it happened.
Correct.
We were all in school, and we never addressed it. We just said, let it be like it is, but the people always complain about it.
So I want to be I talked to Ms. Martin earlier. I said, I want to be careful here because I don't want to act like this is a silver bullet that fixes every bus problem ever, because you'll implement it and the next year, as soon as someone gets 5 minutes late, they're going to, I thought y'all did all this. But this offers Echo, and we're about to put out an RFP. It offers any bus company that is working with us flexibility to provide transportation in a way for a district that is very unique. Now, for me, I put this as a discussion item because I do feel as though it warrants probably at least a month and then another month of discussion. For me, though, y'all have asked me to put out an RFP by December. What y'all choose now for next year impacts what that RFP looks like. So the only thing I have is I cannot put out the RFP until y'all decide, hey, we're doing this, we're not doing this, we're going option 1, option 2, or we're not doing any of it. I can wait to put out the RFP till January. I know that's not something y'all want, but I do think that's the major issue is the board needs to make a decision to not hold up that process.
Dr. Eloy, before we entertain questions from the board, I have received several emails from teachers, and I believe there may be a little bit of confusion out there. They're under the impression that the actual school calendar will change as far as when fall break is, spring break, or anything like that. Will this have any effect on the actual school calendar?
Those are two different items. Yeah, this has no impact on anything to do with the calendar.
Okay. Board members, do you have questions for Dr. Eloy? Or Ms. Martin, who's here as well?
I don't see as this being an issue. If we look at it this month, chew on it in November, decide in December, you can put the RFP out at the very end of December or middle of December.
Yeah, I mean, I would be able to work out the nuts and bolts of the rest of the RFP and just be able to plug this in after, if y'all vote in December, plug in the rest of it and go from there.
Because our meetings in December are very early.
Yeah, they are.
The only thing we would vote on we'd put the RFP out in December, so we wouldn't know until January if a different bus company or something. Because the reason I asked, because several other bus companies say, most other parishes put it out where they give them at least 9 months or more to get buses. Because if we vote on it in January, a lot of time it don't give them enough time to get the buses if we change.
So
if we're gonna change it.
Y'all could do the same thing Billy's saying, but do it in November.
Yeah.
And I could put the RFP out in the end of November as well, which I think is what y'all originally wanted.
This is the holdup here is where we are with this option. I think everything else is, as far as the busing options are locked in. We know what we want or what we're looking for. But the thing here are these two proposals. And like he was saying January, I would say, well, if we need all of November to do that, then we could decide early December. But I'm fully fine with us making that decision in November. I don't see why it's going to change anyone's mind in between November and December.
All right.
The only other thing I'll add to this is it does allow us it addresses some of the concerns of recruiting bus drivers, because potentially this would allow you to have somewhat less of a number of routes than we currently have.
And if they have another job or second job, this may be that they may fit in one of these slots.
But I mean, and I think we all recognize this. There's nothing that your constituents probably care more about than school start and end times. So I do think we're going to get a lot of feedback. So November, my only concern about November is, will you be able to, yeah.
So board members, how do you feel about, and please be honest with me, I feel like you will, having a town hall meeting, because this is an incredible change.
Think we
It's an
should do-
extraordinary change.
I think we should do what
it'd be
we've
necessary.
done.
And I do think
when we
parents need to
made
have that
big
feedback.
decisions before.
We got to get input
know-
from parents that have a lot of kids that are accustomed to picking them up at a certain time, based on their work schedule or just at a certain time. We don't know what type of effect, and we do need input from parents. There's a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of ride buses, but there are a lot of parents that drop their kids off, pick them up. They have a set work time, and that might not be able to be changed. So I think it's best to get input about parents in the beginning and not have a lot of complaints on the end.
Okay, so.
We're gonna have
what-
complaints.
Gonna
no
have
matter
some
what,
complaints, but
Either
I
way.
think it'll
because
be
change is
less.
gonna bring about.
If it doesn't
Right.
affect someone, they're
Right.
not gonna comment.
We're doing the right thing by at least
Talking about
addressing
parents
this.
in
Absolutely.
general.
And trying to come up
Absolutely.
with a solution for all the problems we have been having.
Absolutely.
Because I've heard this too long in my life, you know, and we just, I guess, got the muscle or the tenacity to say, okay, we're going to at least do something.
The only thing I would caution everyone on, it's not that I don't want to have a town hall. Lord knows I love a good town hall.
Good time, huh?
Is a lot of what you're going to hear is going to be what can't happen and how this is crazy when the examples of you can go 15 minutes down the road to the next parish in any direction and you're going to see a version of these school start times. None of these, we didn't go to 9 o'clock, we didn't go to 6 a.m. And I went through this kind of with I have 3 kids at 3 different schools, and they're going to, on some of these, they have different schedules and everything.
That's gonna be a problem.
And that's why one of the things we did, and we would go over this and all that, is we tried to put drop-off, which drop-off can be 30 minutes prior to start time. So even those schools that are going later, their drop-off time gives enough of a period of time
Still pretty close.
to try to bridge the gap to some degree.
Very close to the current schedule.
Yeah. So
I will say option 2 would be tough, though, to take 20 minutes of instructional time away from a school.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine any
yeah, Ms.
administrator
Martin-
that'd be okay with that. I can't imagine option 2 would even be an option for most administrators. Losing 20 minutes of instructional time
Oh, yeah.
in a day is tough. Yep. Agreed.
Would you mind stepping to the microphone, please, just so we can be certain that everyone can hear you online?
so they can know who to be mad at, Miss Martin.
And if you don't mind, give us your cell phone number too. We'll have them call you directly.
No, I was just saying that option 2 has a lot more invasive changes compared to option 1. Option 1 is minor adjustments across the district as far as instructional minutes and master schedules. It is quite easy to make the changes to option 1 for schools. When we first looked at it with Mr. Baptiste, it looked natural to us for, like Dr. Eloy said earlier, if you don't travel far, you have the earlier start. The schools that draw from everywhere have the later start because they're coming farther. And then when we laid it out like that, and then I looked at it for instructional minutes, school to school, it was minor changes. Because right now, you either go to school from, there's the same amount of time, but if I'm a school that's currently going 7.5 hours, and I change to 7 hours and 15 minutes, that's a big change. So, but option 1 is fairly easy to do.
And that was our attempt. We knew the board wanted us to do this, but we also wanted to do it in a way that was as not as disruptive as possible, basically. Yeah.
We'll lose instructional time for sure.
Okay, board members, any questions? Do we want to explore town hall? Do we not want to? And if we do decide to do a town hall, what locations are you thinking?
One thing I would not want to do is put a Survey Monkey on the Journal. Because you're the people who are not affected, or it will not consider to be a problem for them, they will not respond, and the other guys will be.
Fairview and Lakeview basically not being affected by it.
Yeah.
Right, nor Marthaville, it looks like.
Yeah, so there's
So we
a
definitely
lot.
wouldn't choose those locations.
Yeah, and I put Marthaville in that group, but you're right, they could have been their own thing actually themselves.
I guess the best location would be probably Natchitoches Central. We've got the best parking, the best walk-up facilities.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best room in there, depending on how many people y'all think would show up, is that in that field house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we just have to coordinate with Coach Coleman and make sure they don't have anything going on. But
So you guys think just one location?
I think so. I think we have two opportunities here, though. First is parents and guardians. The second is teachers.
Absolutely.
I think the principals are going to get it pretty quick because they've been part of these Q&As. But I think if you don't clue the teachers in on the first round of cuts as far as what's going to happen, then you're going to have a lot of confusion there too.
Yep, you're right.
Well, and not only confusion, but really morale issues. We want to make sure that we don't make any huge change that would cause morale issues in the classroom because they are asked so much all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And they need to know they matter too.
right.
Affect the teachers and staff more so than anybody besides the parents. Children, I think, make adjustments pretty well.
yeah, I just think
Just a few minutes for the kids.
Yeah, and I think we do have to keep in mind, like, if I'm looking at this as a school-based employee, I'm thinking about how this impacts me personally, and that's one thing, and it's valid.
Needs to be
But
about children.
but if this is about, our top priority is student learning, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that student learning would improve or be worse if we don't do anything. But the biggest issue that we faced prior to me coming, and probably like Pastor Harris said, since he was a kid, is busing. And I do think, Echo probably gets some unfair criticism because we've handcuffed them with certain structures that you just can't overcome unless we do something of this nature. And I think,
I think we have to look at I think about 5 different things that we said, the reason that we're doing this. And if we accomplish 2 of them, we've done well, But the amount of things that we address that we want to accomplish, that's what everybody has to look at,
Pastor Harris, you're correct. If you look at the overall things, the changes that we made in the last 5 years, the way we've changed the way of instruction, of programs, of process, of people, personnel, this is the next step in that progression.
That's right.
And you're not going to improve unless you change something. You can't keep doing the same thing and hope it's going to get better. And this is that next step.
So our November meetings appear to be on the 4th and the 11th. And we would have the 3rd week of October and the 4th week of October to potentially have a town hall meeting. So how do you guys feel about checking on the dates of October 21st and 28th? Check availability with Natchitoches Central and district staff. Is that too soon, or y'all talk to me?
Questions. What about, do the surveys work well with the staff and administration when we're doing something?
I will say this.
Input from a survey?
I know you directed that question at Dr. Eloy, but I hear from so many teachers and staff that say, we answered that survey and they're always going to do what they want to do anyway. And I feel like open discussion would be more authentic than that survey because a lot of them don't appreciate those surveys. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that.
no, I totally.
They don't like your surveys, Dr. Eloy.
No, I completely agree because.
Help him out, Ms.
You're
Martin.
100% right. I mean, I'm not a survey fan, but I think discussion, people feel heard.
Do they have input?
Do you mind stepping up to the mic?
My recommendation for that would be for the teachers, well, not just the teachers, because we also have to think about, like
Yeah.
janitors, at our schools too, but have that open discussion within the school, maybe at a faculty meeting where the principal, guides the discussion and gathers the information and then sends that to central office instead of including the faculty staff in a town hall meeting.
I mean, they can attend both if they wanted to,
Can,
but
but for
that
us
would
to-
allow them multiple opportunities to.
I think
Be
it would be a
heard.
more productive conversation if it's
And for the
handled
questions to
that way.
be answered.
Yes.
And we can send Ms. Martin to all of those faculty meetings.
If she would just give us her cell phone number, we can put that out there.
She can help to come up with some like guiding questions that the principals can pose.
And we can also take this presentation, and it sounds like, and I don't want to assume, but if the board wants me to refine this to maybe take proposal 2 off and only look at proposal 1, and then we can create a PowerPoint that goes out to the principals that says, it's not saying you want this or don't want this. This is just the facts. Just the facts.
I feel like with Ms. Martin's words, option 2 was the biggest disruption. Am I misquoting you?
It's too many instructional minutes
Right.
to lose.
So,
You don't lose that, you're losing either recess or elective times, and
Yeah.
we don't want to lose any of that either.
Well, it
Right.
doesn't meet the criteria what we're looking for.
Yeah.
More options you give them, the more argument they got.
right.
I want to add a little here. So I would be curious to see what bus pickup time would be. And the reason I say that is because obviously we're changing parents' drop-off time. So with that being like a knee-jerk reaction, they're going to have smaller bus routes. They're going to be able to get on the bus later. So there's benefits. That's why we're doing that. But like I would just be curious as to, instead of them being picked up now at 6 o'clock, are they going to be picked up at 6:20?
And I don't. So
Ish.
I haven't. Me and Mr. Baptiste have had very informal conversations. I think they would be the bus company, specifically Echo, would be the ones to be able to discuss that.
Right.
I think they're in a bit of a awkward position right now with the RFP going out and us looking at all partners and them also doing that for us, which could be confidential information that would help other potential vendors. And
Right.
they haven't said that exactly, but I believe that is somewhat of a conflict for them. Mr. Baptiste, am I stating that correctly?
And I get
Makes
that. I
sense.
mean, like, my real question was, okay, so Provençal, obviously, I'm going to go to my daughter who has to be at work at 8 o'clock, but she can't drop off till 7:45, but she can put her daughter on the bus and still get to school, to work on time. So that I'm just trying to eliminate some of the concern there so that we're not fighting.
Well, and I'll be honest, my biggest concern is this is a big change. Change is scary in and of itself, but then the other issue is, would there still be a bus route that gets on at 6 a.m.? I mean, we're talking about improving it in general.
Right.
Would that, and I see Mr. Baptiste is shaking his head no, he too early, but this is a massive change, and would folks look at it and say, okay, well, yeah, 5 minutes improved, but so I'm sensitive to what you're saying. I don't know how much we'll be able to predict that until the RFP is out and finalized. And
It would actually help some of the outlying schools like Marthaville, for instance, because in the past, to get those students to Natchitoches Central, that bus would have to leave Marthaville at 7 a.m. Well, if Marthaville's starting later, you've got a lot more leeway. And the kids
But
don't-
it looks like no change for Marthaville,
no
though.
change, but potentially a little bit of change there because the bus wouldn't have to be there right at 7 a.m.
Right, the benefits
right?
of it.
Because of the high school students that have to get to Natchitoches.
because
I see what you're saying.
So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
And it would, in my area, it would help out a whole lot. The kids wouldn't have to be getting on the bus at 6 o'clock
Early.
Yep.
for them.
that early because, they starting later where even with the bus drivers down in my end, it's pushing them to start picking up at 6 o'clock to get them kids out at Province for 7:30 as it is now. But now it would be, 8:15.
Yeah, I can't imagine a kid in Clucheville getting on the bus at 6 a.m. when they don't have to be at school till
So they wouldn't,
7:40.
7:45. I mean,
Right.
In the winter times, think
end up with more bus riders.
Right.
I mean, you really may.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, one of the complaints we get a lot is, for instance, the ELAB car rider line. It's like it's because so many people don't ride the bus, so they have the lowest participation of anyone. But it wouldn't be so bad if a few of them did hop on the cheese.
Well, and that's kind of the benefit here. I mean, we're offering them a better bus opportunity.
Okay, so we're not considering option 2 as an official presentation to the parents and the staff. And you're going to check with Natchitoches Central for 1021 and 1028. And then if you could email us or text us, whatever's more efficient for you, and let us know,
Yes, ma'am.
then we can start the advertising process.
We'll get Sydney as soon as we have a date, which we could maybe have a date as soon as tomorrow, and we can get Sydney on it.
Perfect. Now, board members, before we end the meeting, I do want to give you a quick last quarter of the year review, end of the year review. So Mr. Micah Nicholson is in charge of the superintendent's evaluation revamp this year. And so he's going to be working on that. We should get the official evaluation to review at our November meeting, one of the 2 November meetings. That will give you an entire month to do your homework and find out any information that you need to make the best decision on that evaluation. Mr. Nicholson, thank you for your service with that. You're greatly appreciated. And if we can help you, any of us can do anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. So in January, we will be electing a new board president and a new vice president. So any of you that would like the opportunity to serve, please, please let that be known. I see Ms. Dot grabbing her mic. So we'll be voting on that at the January meeting. So please keep that in mind. Serving is so much fun. You will never have more fun than you will with this gavel and this microphone. So please consider it. It's completely awesome.
But I think the policy does allow for consecutive terms, correct?
I thought we X'd that out.
No, I don't think we did. Mr. Benefield served 2
Did a
consecutive
great job.
terms.
Well, so please consider that. But any other questions before we end the meeting?
Only thing right quick about the alternative school closing, ending at 1?
2.
2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's better than 1.
Yes, ma'am. For sure.
And the other one was concerned about the police helping at Welch in Texas. They're not there anymore. They started, and I understand that they are still not there.
Okay, so I did have a conversation with city police when Mr. Matwire called me, and they went out one day, but are they going back to people going down the wrong way again?
There was just a concern that they are not there.
Oh, okay.
He's saying the Texas and the Welch.
Oh, Texas and
Yeah,
Welch.
so
Okay,
not-
so,
On Welch and
so we do have our
Gold.
we have our folks there, our crossing guards, but the city police, I have had a discussion with them, and not specifically about that, but about their appearance in other places, and there's some issue with they just can't be in all those places every day, they've told me. But I'll have a further discussion and see what they can offer us in terms of that
But
area.
that's a really busy intersection in the evenings.
Just getting
when
out.
They're getting out.
Yeah.
In the mornings too.
Ms. Dot, you're exactly right. And we did discuss that in the town hall meeting at Natchitoches Junior High, and we
Miss
do
Renee
ha- yeah.
also brought up about the crosswalk or about having.
So we did reach out. So first off, we do have crossing guards there, consistent. But I know crossing guards aren't police. In terms of putting a what's that crosswalk that they have on University?
Yeah, the light.
with a,
That we've been told by, I guess it was DOTD, that took almost literally an act of Congress to get that, because that's considered a state highway, and they typically do not put those on state highways. And Texas is actually busier than University most times, and the speed limit is higher. And so we were told that there's no chance of there being one of those type of crosswalks on Texas.
Okay. But for the traffic, that's the main concern.
To let the buses out and everything.
Yes. I don't know if I'm sure there are children that go across. That is a concern, very much so. But for the traffic because there's no light there. There's no red light, and there's no officer there, and you can easily have an accident at any time.
So I will talk to the city police, and I don't want to put words in their mouth. I do think one of their thoughts possibly may be that we do have, I think we have two, Ms. Ramona, do we have 2 crossing guards at that location or one? One. And so I think they are assuming that we are doing that, because if you look over at Natchez Central where he does an excellent job, and we have 2 over there. But I will broach it with them and see what availability they have and what they're willing to do, and I'll express the concerns that y'all have brought to me.
One of the things are buses turning right off of Texas on the Welch. They can't make that swing because people, they stay stacked up against the stop sign. And so everybody behind Texas is stuck, and everyone going into town who's trying to turn left is stuck. And everyone sits there in the morning and looks at one another. Seriously. I mean, you could be 12, 15 deep on both sides because they can't
No one
turn.
wants to take they don't want to
The
take
street turning from Texas on the Welch is not that wide.
we
don't have police officers there in the evening. I think Miss Harvey had checked that out one day.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Ramona was saying we do not have a lot of students who cross Texas. That's unusual. But the main issue, and I think the main issue you're saying, is those buses leaving out and it backing up. So.
All right.
And the cars.
I know that
Sabine
gets
Street.
backed up too, I think.
Yeah.
I see some come from Sabine.
If they turn right going on Welch, if they turn right, that would not probably be a problem. But if they try to turn, it'd be an issue.
Yeah, I was thinking left would be almost impossible because especially if there's cars coming on.
That's right.
Okay.
Work on that one.
Thank you all for your service. Have a good evening.